I'd like to talk a little bit about lip reading, because that's the main form of communication for people who are deaf, especially people who became deaf or hard of hearing later in life. A lot of people have misconceptions or don't understand lip reading, which causes a lot of problem between communication, because if you're hearing and you meet somebody and they tell you they're deaf, you're automatically going to think they read my lips, and that causes people to speak unnaturally. And I think what it comes from is the name lip reading is actually very inaccurate. It's not lip reading. It's face reading. It's upper body reading. It's hand gesture reading. The lip reading really isn't the best term. When I had lip reading lessons, I think it was about the 5th grade, somebody would take me out of class in school for an hour every day, and we had lip reading lessons. All the lessons really were is practice sessions. All would happen, I was sitting across from the lady, and she would say a word to me without making sound, and I would have to repeat "mom" back. And they started out with short, small words, simple words. Later moved into bigger words and into sentences, and then she'd read a whole short story, and I had to repeat it back the best I could. So lip reading lesson isn't about the shape of the mouth. Sure, it had an effect in it, but that's not really the whole thing. When someone's talking to me and I'm reading their lips, I'm really looking right about here. When I'm focusing, but I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing their eyes, I'm seeing their mouth, I'm seeing their hand gestures, their body language. So another thing people do is sometimes they concentrate on their mouth. They'll talk like this when they're trying to get you to understand them. When they do that, they're focusing on their mouth, thinking it's going to help them understand. But in truth, they're taking away their ability to understand, because they're focusing on their lips. Their eyes, their hands are not making the proper gestures and speaking like they should be when you speak normal or naturally. So the best thing to do when you talk to someone who has to read your lips is just talk normally. Sure, talk clearly and talk to them, but that's just common courtesy. Look at someone when you're talking to them. You really don't have to change much. Just speak clearly. Don't cover your mouth. Don't cover your face. Any hand gestures you can do, facial expressions, if you say a question, raise your eyebrows. Simple things like that, which normally we do naturally when we're talking. So just speak naturally and clearly, and you shouldn't have any problems. Other thing is, obviously you don't have gum in your mouth. And one that a lot of people don't think about is don't wear sunglasses. Because remember, your eyes really speak. You say a lot of things with your eyes. If you're wearing sunglasses, that takes away that part of communication that they need. And also, don't have a bright light behind you shining in their face. Remember, it's all visual to them. They have to be able to see you. But do not exaggerate your speech. Just speak clearly. That's all you really have to do when you talk to someone who reads your lips. And also remember that when you think, let's say you ask them a question and they look up, that's natural. Some people get upset. They think that the deaf person isn't paying attention to them. But no, your eyes have to look up and think for a moment. So if they do that, give them that moment to, think about what you asked them. Then let them look at you again. And also, it can be very tiring. Lip reading, I say lip reading is like playing Wheel of Fortune. You get bits and pieces of information. When you read lips, you don't get every syllable, every word. You just get bits and pieces, and you have to mentally fill in the blanks. The more pieces they get, easier to understand. And sometimes you'll say something to them, they'll say, "What was that?" And before you reply, they'll all of a sudden answer. And some people blame them for acting like they were deaf or something. But no, it just took a moment for their mind to fill in the blanks and get to it. If you're talking to someone who reads lips and they say "what" a few times, you have to repeat a few times, they still can't get it, a good tip is to try to rephrase it. Sometimes a combination of words can cause problems. For instance, somebody says to you, "I'm going to the store, do you need anything?" If they say "what" a few times, you can say, "Do you need anything from the store?" No, just rephrase it. That's a big help. And remember that, like I said, a headache can come on really big when you have to sit there and concentrate, especially when you're talking to a few different people in your head. You're trying to work out the puzzles with each person, and you can get a headache, and after a while, you just want to take a break. So don't be discouraged if they just kind of back off and just let you guys talk, because they don't want to be a disturbance for you guys' time, the conversation. They don't want to be a burden. And even if you don't think of them as one, even if you have the patience and you don't mind slowing down for them, they know that they're interrupting the flow sometimes. And if it's just chit-chat, everyday talk, yeah, they would like to be a part of it, but it's not an important conversation unless it was like a business meeting. Yeah, then they want everything. But if they have to back up and just stay out of it for a moment, let them clear their head for a moment. Then they usually come back and ask, okay, what happened? And you can just fill them in later. So remember, reading lips, just speak to them normally, naturally, clearly. Use hand gestures that help, but don't exaggerate. Just speak like you do anybody that you're showing respect to. A couple of other things came to mind about lip reading. First of all, I said to speak naturally and clearly, but also remember, don't yell. Yes, some people with hearing impairment, a little extra volume could be helpful, but here's what the problem is. Communication is visual. If you yell at them and they can't hear you, they're going to think you're yelling at them. I mean, emotionally, they'll think you're yelling at them. If you look like you're yelling at them, they'll think you're yelling at them, regardless of the words that come out of your mouth. So if you get higher volume, to speak louder, most people don't have the ability to not show that on their face. The only people I can think of are the people that work on big stage, on Broadway, with the training to speak loud, but still have expressions to fit what they're doing. But most people don't have that ability. So don't shout. If you have to go louder, that's fine, but do not shout. That can really throw them back. Like what? Even if you don't hear the words, it's just what they're seeing is throwing them off. The thing is, make sure you look the mood matches the mood of what you're saying. If you look angry, they're going to think you're going to tell them something that you're angry about, or you're angry at them. If you look at, but the words are different, it's not going to matter. It's going to throw them off. What they think they heard doesn't match what they're seeing, so they're going to figure they misheard. Okay? So if you're happy, look happy. If you're sad, look sad. If you're mad, look mad. That's going to help them understand you. And one more thing is, it's really frustrating. You ever watch a movie or a TV show and have what they call a cliffhanger at the end? You're like, it's over. I have to wait until next week to be continued. It can be frustrating. It's even worse when you're trying to hear somebody and you're reading their lips and you're trying to hear them and they say what a few times and they say, oh, never mind, it's not important. That's kind of an insulting to the person with impairment, because it's not their fault that they can't hear you. It's not something that they can't control that they couldn't hear you. And that's like giving a cliffhanger. That's like somebody come up to you and say, oh, you should have heard what somebody said about you, but I'm not going to tell you. No, it can be very annoying. It can be very frustrating. It can be very hurting sometimes. So they should never do that. If they keep saying what, don't just say, oh, never mind, it's not important. Because they still don't know. It's still a cliffhanger. It's still in their mind. What did I just miss? Are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Is something wrong with somebody? Did somebody say something bad about me? You know, it could be so many things. They have no clue. If worst comes to worst, last we do it, write it down. Really just a couple of key words like that. But never leave them on a cliffhanger like that, because that's actually kind of rude, especially when they're just lost. So those are a few other things I thought I'd add about lip reading.